What's good, you guys? Thanks for tuning into your favorite dance music and nightlife show, the BrkThru podcast. Now, I conceptualized this show at the end of December, bought all my equipment in the month of January, shot a couple of episodes in the month of Feb, and now look how fast time has passed. We're already down to our 15th episode. Now, big things have happened since we've started this journey together, and now I can finally say that our website and app is out now. So go ahead and log into the breakthroughpodcast.com and check out our episodes out there for free. Also, I'm extremely happy to announce that finally our app is now live on the Google Play Store. Big ups to Shred and his entire team for helping me sort the app out. So stop this episode, quickly go to the Google Play Store, search for the BrkThru podcast and download our app now. Irrespective, I'll leave down some links in the description. Now, if you've been tuned into episodes from the very beginning, you must have quickly realized that each week I try to bring to you a new story, a new guest, and some new learnings. Now, keeping that trend in mind, our today's guest is someone who's actively been pushing reggae music in India for the last few years. He's part of India's first reggae sound system, the Reggae Rajahs, and is one of the leading names in the reggae scene here in India. Zoravar Shukla, aka General Zooz, is here with us on the podcast. Now, General Zooz, you're an MC, a filmmaker, an actor, a DJ. How do you do all these things, man?
No, they're just ways to express myself, bro. Different avenues express different sides of me. So I enjoy all creative elements like DJing and MCing, filmmaking. It's all one to me.
So, Zoravar, one of the reasons I wanted in the podcast is you're the co-founder of Reggae Rajahs, Goa Sunsplash, also 10,000 Lion Sound System. So tell me, how did the journey start? How did you get into the reggae music scene?
Well, I think my journey in reggae music has been a journey, over a substantial amount of time. We're probably talking 20 plus years. When I first started listening to Bob Marley, I guess, when I would like to say about 13, 12 or 13, I think I discovered my parents' CD collection and they had the Legend album by Bob Marley. So I think that was a first intro. And after that, as I listened to pop music around the time I was growing up, which were the late 90s and early 2000s, it had a lot of reggae and dancehall influence actually. Probably more so than nowadays, I feel. So I think I got influenced by the sounds of dancehall and reggae through pop music as well when I was growing up. And then, I went to study in Boston, and that kind of just opened up my eyes to a whole different world of reggae. I saw live reggae for the first time in my life. I saw big bands like Israel Vibration or Toots and the Maytals, Damian Marley, a bunch of huge acts that really kind of set me forth on this journey. And then coming back to India after college and after working in the States for a bit, I was kind of bitten by the reggae bug, and no one in India was really pushing it. I mean, sure, there were people listening to reggae, and there were pockets who, there were people who were kind of reggae fans. Maybe here and there, someone would throw in a reggae or dancehall tune into their DJ sets or
Of course, yeah.
into their live performances. I know, for example, Shillong has a long sort of history of reggae music and a reggae scene there for many years. But I felt, at least in the major cities like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, there was no one really pushing reggae music. So I guess what ended up happening was that I connected with two other guys, Raghav and Mohammed, or Diggy Dang and Mo City. And we were sort of on the same wavelength. Diggy had just returned from the UK, where he also had been bitten by the reggae bug. And Mo City was a DJ and a promoter in Delhi who'd been pushing a lot of hip hop events. And if you know a little bit about reggae, you'll know that reggae and hip hop are actually cousins. They're kind of joined.
Of course, yeah.
They're joined to the waist.
Yes.
So he was kind of putting on some hip hop events which had a bit of reggae influence, and we actually happened to meet at one of his events, which was a tribute to Bob Marley. I think it was a Bob Marley birthday bash or something like that.
Okay.
And the three of us kind of linked up there. We knew each other independently, but that was the first time three of us kind of met at the same place. And we were like, look, Diggy and myself, we were not DJs. We were just sort of lovers of reggae music. And we decided, look, let's just start a night where we can listen to reggae and play some reggae just, to have fun. So we started a regular weekly Thursday night at a place called the Living Room Cafe in Hoskas Village, TLR,
Okay.
in 2009, early 2009. and soon kind of developed into an act. I guess we learned how to DJ. Someone picked up the mic and decided that they would sort of introduce the tracks and talk to the audience. So then someone started emceeing. We started performing as a unit. We got booked in Bombay, Pune, Bangalore, these kind of places. And then before we knew it, it became a thing. Reggae Rajahs became an act that was touring India, that actually ended up touring the world. It toured Europe 2 or 3 times. We toured South America, Southeast Asia. So yeah, I mean, it's been a very, very eventful journey. And then of course Sunsplash happened, which is a whole different chapter. That started about 5 years ago. 10,000 lion sound system. I mean, there's a lot in there. I don't even really know where to kind of.
So was this your initial plan? So when you started off and you came back from Boston, was this your plan? Because you're very active, even in the acting scene. If I see a lot of theater snippets that I see of yours online. So was music a part of your career? Was this a choice that you had made that let me do something in music, or this just happened with the flow?
Bro, to be honest, it fell in my lap. I am not a musician. I'm not a trained musician. I'm a performer. I'm an entertainer. I like being on stage. I like performing in front of people. That's my thing. I love reggae music, and I guess kind of what happened was that the music became an outlet for performance rather than for the creation of music per se. It was more about me getting a chance to perform in front of people on stage. So yeah, I think they're kind of tied to the hip. It was almost like I had a way to express myself through music, but not in the typical way which most musicians' careers kind of take off, I guess.
All right. So, what do you think about the reggae scene in India? How has it grown? How has it changed? Because back from 10, I think Reggae Raj is what 10 years old now. So, from 10 years from then, how do you think has the scene changed? Has it evolved? Because I see a lot of events. I mean, Sunsplash is one of the biggest events that happens in India with regards to reggae. But individually in cities, which cities do you think have a nice community with regards to this kind of music?
Well, that's a difficult one. I think it's not an easy question to answer. I think naturally the big cities, just because of the sheer number of people living in them, seem to have communities which identify with this style of music, very easily. So, of course, Delhi, Bombay, are two hubs where we regularly do events and we get good crowds, and we have solid kind of soldiers pushing reggae music in these places. I think Hyderabad has a great community. There's a guy called Dr. Dub out there who's building a sound system as we speak.
Wow.
And he's really been doing the work for about 10, 12 years. He's got a radio station. He's got a whole crew, a collective of guys, 10, 12 guys who, they do all types of interesting projects. His passion really is dub. But yeah, they've got a nice little scene there. Shillong, of course, has a great scene. There's a couple of very talented singers, reggae singers in Shillong right now who are kind of breaking through. We had a big contingent of people from Assam, Meghalaya come to Sunsplash this time, which was amazing for me. It was like it's probably the furthest away you can get from Goa, the Northeast, and these guys made the pilgrimage all the way down to Goa for Sunsplash. So I know there's a bubbling reggae community in the Northeast, but I think also that's one thing which Sunsplash has kind of really alerted me to, that reggae is kind of bigger than I sometimes give it credit for in India. It's got its fans and it's got its little pockets. Like I think Ahmedabad, surprisingly, I met a bunch of people from Ahmedabad who are into reggae. I met a few people from Kerala this time at Sunsplash who were like, yeah, we've been coming for 4 years. So I think there are pockets in the smaller towns which are kind of coming to the forefront now. And then of course Goa is a huge scene.
Of course.
That is such a big scene, obviously because of the influence of a lot of foreigners and a lot of international people in Goa as well. So yeah, I mean, if I had to say what's the epicenter of reggae right now in India, it's definitely Goa.
All right. And like you said, you've been traveling across the world. I think you guys have a huge fan base in Poland. You guys perform there quite often. You've actually done a lot of shows. You've opened for Shaggy, you've opened for UB40, Apache Indian. Tell us about those. Tell us about, from a small, from a plan from Delhi to traveling the entire world, playing with the legends of this kind of music. How does it feel? And did you ever imagine that this would actually go in this way?
Not at all, bro. It's like a trip. It's honestly a trip. Like I don't even know how to express in words the experiences that we've had over the last 10 years. It's really been like a dream. I mean, we've lived the life of not rock stars, reggae stars, I guess. I mean, and very unexpectedly, like not. It's not something we kind of set out to do. When we started Reggae Rajahs, it was literally for the love of reggae music and because we wanted to promote reggae music. So the idea was never that we would become some sort of big act or something like that. It was more that we just wanted to promote music we love in our country. And then it turned into this big act where from playing to 10, 15, 20, 30 people in a little bar in Horse, it became this thing where we were suddenly in front of thousands of people. And yeah, meeting people like Shaggy, Snoop Dogg, Major Lazer, UB40. I mean, these are names that kind of one only dreams of sharing a stage with. So very, very lucky and very privileged to have had the experiences we've had.
Great. Also, as General Zooz, you also been like getting out your own solo music out as well. I really love Industry Girls. I mean, I love that track. It's such a catchy tune, and especially because being a bit biased, it's a lot of mention of Pune names out there. So I think I really like that track the most. So, what do you think would be the challenges that come across because you're pushing a very very different sound? People in India don't really have an idea on what I mean. We're very. It's a big long battle that we fight with Bollywood music, especially pushing underground music like ourselves. So what are the challenges that you face and how do you guys overcome these certain challenges?
Well, I think there are definitely a few kind of stumbling blocks that we've faced. I mean, one is obviously the style of music, the tempo of the music. It's also foreign and it's also different. But at the same time, it has its own groove and has its own kind of way of vibing and feeling the music. You know, so I think while it has been challenging, there are things which have kind of eased the kind of incorporation of reggae into a mainstay in the Indian music scene. I think the first thing which I can think of is that if I look at Reggae Rajahs, I mean, what really carried us was that we were very, very passionate about the songs we were playing, the songs we were performing, what we were doing on stage. I'm not sure if you ever saw Reggae Rajahs perform kind of in our heyday, but it was where we were really, I mean, we gave everything on the stage, So even if you didn't really feel the music or you didn't know the music, you didn't understand the music, you'd see us perform and you'd be like, okay, these guys are having fun. So I guess I should also loosen up and kind of try and enjoy this music and open myself up to this. So I think that was one, was just the kind of energy and passion that we had for it. I think another game changer in the sort of absorption of reggae music into the Indian scene has been sound systems. So you've got Delhi Sultanate with his Base Foundation Root sound system in Delhi, and you've got 10,000 Lions sound system in Goa. These two sound systems came up at around the same time, just at the beginning of 2009. No, sorry, at the beginning of 2016. So now, have you witnessed a sound system experience?
Of course, I was there. I've witnessed you guys. You guys were even active at Supersonic. I was there right there. In fact, you guys had the most crowd
Awesome.
in the small place
Yeah,
there.
exactly. So
And of course,
you
I'm a Pune
having
boy. I'm a Pune boy. I've seen Reggae Rajas perform at High Spirits, and I've seen you perform at High Spirits. So
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So the thing about the sound system, since you've experienced it, you know that it's a one of a kind, phenomenon. It's not something which can be replicated
of course.
with any sort of speaker set or speaker system. So I think that was really a game changer. So whether it's Delhi Sultanate's Base Foundation Root sound system or the 10,000 Lion sound system, anyone who goes for a sound system session, a reggae sound system, dub music, reggae music on a sound system, their mind is going to be blown pretty much. I mean, or changed at least. I would say a high percentage of people who've never listened to reggae music and they go to see, reggae on a sound system, they'll be like, "Whoa, what is this? What is going on here?" It's just the sheer enormity of the sound, the depth of the vibrations. It's very very high, and plus the energy of different people on the mic being passed around. It's a freestyle. It becomes a freestyle session. So it's actually a very, very unique coming together of people in a communal way, where you kind of don't get that in a normal club setting. And I think that's what's so special about reggae music. It's actually not, particularly suited for a club. Unless, of course, it's that new kind of more dancehall stuff, which has now become very popular in pop music. If you're talking about roots reggae, you're talking about dub, that kind of stuff is not really club music. So you need the right setting. So I think these two sound systems have provided the right kind of setting and right experience for people to really embrace reggae. So I think that has had a big impact on people being receptive to reggae music. And then, of course, the number of acts now popping up around the country. So, we had King Jassim from Bangalore, who was doing a lot of work at one point in the last few years. You've got Delhi Sultan in Delhi. You've got Dewdrops from Shillong, Lion Eye also now in Shillong. You've got Dr. Dub in Hyderabad. You've got Bombay Basement in Bombay, 10,000 Lions in Goa, Rudy Roots in Goa. So there's a lot of different players now who kind of playing all over the country. So that has also definitely contributed to the fact that reggae is here to stay. And then lastly, I would say Sunsplash has been a big game changer for people to open up to reggae music because it's just a hell of an experience. It's a vibe that I don't think anyone has ever experienced in India before. So, like I said, it's an experience beyond the club. It's a festival setting where reggae kind of has really been able to thrive. And more than the music, you find that people are just going to Goa Sunsplash for the vibe. They're just going to experience something. They might not have a clue about what music is playing. They don't know who Anthony B is or Maccabee is or Johnny Osborne is. They don't have a clue who these people are. They're just going because, reggae, it's supposed to be this chilled out genre. It's in Goa. Let's just go and see what the vibe is. So, I feel, we've come a long way in 10 years for sure.
Of course. And since you mentioned in reggae, of course, there are a lot of subgenres. If you could just explain to the audience what is the difference between a dub or ska, if you could just explain a bit more, can you elaborate on that? What are the different styles of subgenres under reggae?
Man, this could become a reggae 101 lesson right now. But yeah, I mean, music from the Caribbean.
Okay.
That was rock steady, and that was in the early '60s. You're talking about a style of music called rock steady. Some of the names to look out for are Alton Ellis, Marcia Griffiths. These are John Holt, the Paragons. These are some of the most famous rocksteady singers, and they operated in a time when Jamaica just kind of gained independence from the British. So a lot of the music was about expressing feelings. So you've got a whole range of emotions in that music, from love to anger to sorrow to pain. It's very groovy because of the elements of jazz and soul. Rocksteady became a little faster because people started, wanted a kind of faster way to express themselves after liberating themselves from the British. So that turned into ska. Rocksteady is linked to ska.
Okay.
Ska became a very popular genre in Jamaica, and some of the names you want to look out for in ska are the Scatolites. Bob Marley actually started as a ska artist. So Bob Marley and the Wailers, their first single was "Simmer Down." "Simmer Down." If you listen to Bob Marley's "Simmer Down," it's a ska song. It's a very up tempo song, which again was probably recorded somewhere around the mid '60s. Ska music, in turn, changed to reggae music. It developed into reggae music. So they slowed down the beat again, much slower, and it became kind of more painful, the music. After independence, Jamaica went into a phase where they were struggling. as the Brits left us in India in a mess, the same way they left Jamaica in a mess. So after that kind of euphoria, yes, we're independent, let's dance fast, let's express ourselves, we're so happy, it kind of became more painful. And the ghettos, the reggae music really became kind of the voice of the people, the voice of the ghettos. A lot of political violence, a lot of same like in India, a lot of kind of crookedness, corruption. I guess Jamaica is even more violent than India in some ways. So a lot of violence in the ghettos. So reggae became an expression for that. It became freedom music. It became rebel music. It became one love music also.
I think, sorry to interrupt you, but I think while we were talking about that phase, there's an iconic image of Bob Marley. I think there were two political leaders who were, battling each other
Correct.
out, and there was that iconic,
Yeah.
image where he got them back on stage, and he
Yeah.
connected them, and I think that's when the world knew that what reggae music was. I think that's one of the biggest highlights of when it actually hit the world.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the power of music. Forget reggae music. That's the power of music, is that it brings people together, right?
Of
I mean,
course.
that's the huge power of music. So that was certainly a momentous occasion for people in Jamaica. But then, at the same time, it also became. I guess this is something which I kind of actually only struck me in the last few weeks as I was thinking about this. The same time around the 70s, reggae became Rasta.
Yeah.
Reggae was not Rasta when it first started out. Rastafarianism kind of took hold of reggae and began to use reggae as its way of delivering its message.
Of course. Yeah.
So actually, what also makes reggae very, very powerful and very strong and so different from other genres of music is that a lot of the songs are rooted in spirituality. So a lot of these reggae songs, Bob Marley was a Rasta.
Of
His
course.
message is Rasta. His message is, some may say, maybe a little pop Rasta. It's a little watered down. It's very accessible and catchy and poppy. But his message was Rasta. Now, if you dig deeper into contemporaries of Bob Marley, like for example his bandmate Peter Tosh was a militant.
Of course.
His way of change was not one love. His way of change was burn the place down. So there were different forms of expression at that time, and Rasta kind of really became the dominating influence in reggae. So that's definitely why it really resonates with people and still so powerful, because a lot of messages are spiritual. A lot of the basis of reggae music comes from a spiritual place. So from roots reggae, Rasta reggae in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, a subgenre called dub grew out of reggae. So dub was a time when basically I call it the electronification of reggae music.
Okay.
That's basically what happened. So they took drums and they took guitars and they started putting effects on them, right? Dubbing them out, adding echo, adding delay, adding reverb.
Mhm.
That's the time when the mixing board really became an instrument on its own in its own right. So at this time, you found that you could actually, do many things which you couldn't. Like before, it was all live reggae music with bands, and suddenly it became almost an electronic genre of music, or at least electronified per se. And then dub music kind of gave rise to a whole different family of subgenres. From dub music, I guess, for example, like being into electronic music, you would understand dub
Of
probably
course. Yeah.
quite well, because dub music is a foundation for anyone who's into electronic music. So whether it's house or techno, or a lot of the techniques, and a lot of the first kind of things when it came to the mixing board were taken from dub music. So I think dub music is so important, not just for reggae but for electronic music. Then of course the ones that are directly linked to dub music, for example, jungle or drum and bass, that's directly born out of dub music. What the other offshoot of dub music is dancehall music. So once reggae music started to become electronified, it moved either into a deep, heavy, dubby space, or it moved into a space which was kind of more dance oriented and more how do I explain it? It's like a rhythm, like dance hall became a rhythm, like the drum pattern changed of reggae music. So from becoming a one drop roots reggae rhythm, dance hall introduced like a pattern of like duk 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 duk, or duk 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 duk. These two drum patterns basically form the basis of dancehall music. That originated probably in the mid 80s in Jamaica, and you still hear it on pop music today.
Of course, yeah.
So those were really the two offshoots of dub. And dub. It's a very psychedelic form of music because of the echoes and the delays. The vocals are usually quite minimal.
A lot of echoes is all that they use as well.
Exactly. But then all the singers and the kind of by then in the beginning of the 80s, the style also changed of singing. Instead of Bob Marley singing, it became kind of more like a talking style. So artists like Yellow Man or Supercat, Josie Wales, Admiral Bailey, these were kind of the first rappers in a sense, that started kind of just rapping over the beats a little bit. So instead of singing, it became a rap. And then, that kind of lent itself very well to the dancehall beat. So these guys got more popular. So someone like, for example, like Sean Paul, who now is a global superstar, came out of dancehall music. And he was not even the first generation of dancehall stars. His style is copied from probably someone 2 or 3 generations before him in terms of, being an artist. So I guess, and then at that time, dancehall and hip hop also became very kind of jumbled up. In the 90s in New York, you had a lot of Jamaican immigrants that mingled with the rappers. Biggie, for example, Notorious B.I.G. was of Jamaican descent. Busta Rhymes. I mean, there's a few of these guys who are actually Jamaicans who started rapping, and so that crisscross between dancehall and hip hop really kind of took off. And then you had people like Sean Paul and Shaggy and all that really getting famous towards the end of the 90s. At the same time, in the UK, dub and the Jamaican immigrants that went to the UK that were kind of still really building sound systems and playing reggae, playing dub, they also kind of switched. So their kind of styles became a little different and they kind of grew with the time. So instead of hip hop in the UK, I think the expression was more through drum and bass, through jungle music, even through house. A lot of these Jamaicans got into garage. These were the kind of genres that in the UK sort of grew out of dub.
Yeah.
So, man, it's all connected. I feel like there's so much. The gamut of reggae music is really huge. I mean, now you're in a place where it's pretty much, at least that dancehall style is now pop music. So you have Justin Bieber making dancehall. You have, whatever, like all these kind of like pop artists.
Major Lazer and all
Major
these
Lazer
guys,
took dancehall music to the next level when it comes to entering into the pop market. I mean, they made it mainstream. So I mean, it's the influence of reggae and its subgenres is massive. So the next time someone tells you that reggae is just about Bob Marley and just about chilling out and smoking a spliff, tell them to think again because it's massive. It's huge.
So also with reggae, I think I saw your in fact whenever you guys are performing and also on a TEDx video that I saw is that you guys always engage the audience with your dance moves. You teach them how to the typical flight dance move and all of these dance moves. Obviously, since we're limited to being an audio podcast right now, if you could just tell us a couple of slangs or some reggae slangs so that people can kind of start using them in their normal vocabulary. If you could just share a couple of words and tell us what they mean.
Okay, so wagwan is the first one.
Wagwan.
Yeah, that's how you greet someone. Like, what's going on? What's happening? What's going on? Wagwan.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you were to greet someone in Jamaica, you'd be like, wagwan, brother. Right?
All right.
And then, if you're feeling good, if everything is cool, say, I'm Irie, man.
Irie.
You're good?
Irie.
Yeah, man. Irie.
Okay, that's what it means.
Irie means cool. Everything cool. All good. I guess if you're leaving someone and, you kind of just want to say bye, they don't really say bye, it'd be more like respect.
Okay.
So respect is like thanks or see you later. It would be a way to leave, exit the conversation.
Thanks a lot, General Zooz. This was awesome. I think the quickest way to learn about this music and about this culture. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. Big ups to you guys at Reggae Rajahs. Big ups to you guys at the N1000 Line Sound System. You guys are doing a phenomenal job pushing the music. And I wish you all the very best in the future with regards to Goa Sunsplash. And I hope you guys are doing these parties all across the country. Thanks a lot again for doing this for me. And I hope to see you soon when you're in Pune once this entire coronavirus scene gets sorted.
That would
Thanks
be
a lot.
nice,
Thanks a lot for
Rohan.
doing
Thanks
this.
a lot,
Cheers.
man.
Respect.
Okay, bye.
Respect.
Respect.
Cheers, bro. Bye. Thanks.
Keep it Ivy. Keep it Ivy. Peace.
And that was the episode, guys. Thanks for tuning into the BrkThru podcast. I'm getting mad love from all of you guys from the fraternity. Continue sharing, but definitely consider subscribing, following, liking, doing all that good stuff. This definitely helps me a lot.